So today I'm looking at specifically a sat phone, Thuraya XT-Lite, and I guess it comes back to why would you need a sat phone. So here in Australia, once you go off road, you're going to lose phone coverage. UHF radios only have short distance. I guess if there's more than one of you, you in a convoy, what are you protecting yourself against? Or if you're like us, we're on our own. And that's the real reason why I wanted a phone. So rather than an emergency beacon on any of the emergency equipment that you can get, for us it was more about if we're off road, we break down, you get stuck, we run out of tires or whatever. It's really about what level of assistance do we need. So I'm not necessarily talking about an emergency situation, or it could turn into that obviously if you can't get help. It's also the fact that all these transmitters are only one way, and even the SMSing stuff is a little bit difficult, and nowadays sat phones have become a lot cheaper. So it's really, for me, it was really peace of mind that having a sat phone meant that you could have that two-way communications. You could phone somebody, you could ask, you could get help, and obviously you can call for emergency if you need it. Now none of these systems are foolproof, but I think with the cost now of a sat phone being, I would say, reasonable, depends what your budget is of course, then I think for me this is probably the best option. And by I say reasonable, so this, the Thuraya XT-Lite, you're looking in Australia, at the moment I think it's about $830 for the actual handset. So you buy the handset outright, then you need to have some sort of contract or payment plan. So with that, and actually I just got a letter from my provider, Pivotal, who look after the Thuraya network. They're just changing their plans. So currently it's $15 a month, the basic plan. That's no calls included. They're about to increase that from the 1st of March to $16.50. So for me, I don't want to make calls, so I'm looking at a contract where I just have this as an emergency device that I can switch on, make calls when I need to, and I think then you don't care if you're paying $1 a minute for a call, because at the end of the day, most of the time I don't need it. However, I need to maintain the phone. Now interestingly, as part of their price increase, they now are going to give you the option to suspend the service on the particular plan that I'm on, which is the cheapest one. So I said it's going to go up to $16.50 a month, but if you want to suspend the service for a couple of months because you don't need the phone, you can then you'll come down to $7.50, give them a call, tell them to suspend, and then you give them a call the day before you need it and you unsuspend it. There's no charge for suspending unsuspending, but it then drops the cost down to $7.50 a month, which I think, knowing that you've got a phone for the year, so you're talking less than $100 a year basically to maintain a sat phone in Australia. Obviously no calls. Up till now there have been options to suspend services, and you might have to pay a reconnection fee, or you might even have to change the number. That is all changing now with their new agreement. I'll put a link to Sat Phone Sales, which is where I got this and where I got the contract from, and we'll go through from there. So the Thuraya XT-Lite, as you can see, is incredibly small, and if I actually hold up a normal phone next to it, you'll see that it's smaller than a normal phone, and this is an old Samsung S10 I think, so it's a reasonable sized phone, but look how small it really is. So the aerial pops in and out, so once you pack it away it's pretty small, just to pull up the aerial to get it to work. On off button from here. So at the moment, I don't know if you can see that, we are connected to the Thuraya network in Australia. Signal strength up the top. This very much reminds me of one of the original mobile phones. I think for those of you that get it, you'll see that it's very, very similar to how the mobile phones used to work. Even from a point of view of all the menus, and the keypad is almost identical. You go to the menu and it's very much what you used to have. I'm not going to go through all the functions today. You can see those online, but it's very, very similar to an old-fashioned mobile phone. You've got SMS, you've got a couple of other options. You can get your position, you've got a compass and position, so you can get your current position from here, and it'll acquire GPS, and away you go. And it tells me my latitude, longitude, it tells me my altitude, and obviously the date. So one of the things with it is that you've got to be pointing it in direct line of sight at the satellite. So once it's connected, and I have to say that's not the only hard part, is when you switch these things on, you've really got to line it up with the satellite to get that initial connection. Now you see at the moment it's holding full strength. So the Thuraya satellite, and obviously it depends where you are in the world, but from where I am in Adelaide, it's sitting at 304 degrees, so nearly at west, and or sorry, a little bit north of west, the position, and 31.4 degrees off the horizon, so not very high. So that's quite low in the sky, so north is that way for me, so I know I've got to point it that way, and I've got to point it pretty low in the sky to get that reception. Now once you're on, you can get that signal, but you need line of sight to that direction. So yeah, if you're in a valley or something, it's not going to work. You're not going to be able to. But as I said, not other devices may not work either, because they need to see a satellite as well. So I think, you know, that is part of the challenge with any communication device. As long as you're aware of it and realize that if you go into a valley, you know, you could have an issue, but you've got to have somebody with you who can get out of the valley and be able to connect the device. Anyway, so we got full signal strength. I'm pointing straight at the satellite now, and as you move around, once you've got your signal, it gets a bit better. I have seen people use there's a headphone socket here, put in the headphone so that you can leave the phone in this constant position and then use an earpiece without having to move the device whilst it's pointing at the satellite, and that way you get the best connection. So other than that, there's not an awful lot to tell you. As I said, you've got an earpiece that you can plug into here, and then in terms of the power and SIM card, so the power is in this very fiddly piece underneath, which does open, and you have to charge it from there. The only thing I would say is, let's pick it up, is that it comes with a mains adapter, and this is a micro USB connector. So you can't plug this straight into a USB socket without using the mains adapter, and I say can't, on your own head be it. So this particular adapter got me magnifying glass out. It outputs 5 volts DC, but at 1.5 amps. So 1.5 amps is a sort of not quite the 2.1 amps or the 2 amps of a USB. So if you plugged a USB direct into that, I wouldn't want to guarantee it, and I think you're playing a little bit dangerously there. So they do a car adapter, but here in Australia it's $75, which I think is quite a lot of money. If you're fortunate like me, you've got a mains outlet in your vehicle already, and I do have one. I can actually just charge this straight from the vehicle, so I'm fortunate enough. If you don't, then they do a special pack on their website with the car adapter, but you need to be aware of that before you buy, or when you buy, how you're going to charge it when you're out on the road. Look, if you're like me and you put the thing off most of the time, you know, one charge for a 2-week trip is probably going to be enough. But I guess if you have a bit of an incident and you need to recharge the phone, then you need to be ready for that, I guess. The battery life's good. Again, it's like an old phone. You shouldn't have to worry about battery life, but just be conscious of that when you make your purchase. Other than that, SIM card goes underneath the battery in the back, and that's all it comes with. If you buy the standard pack like I did, you don't get a case, you don't get anything. But for me, this lives in the glove box in the vehicle, well out of the way, because we don't need it day to day. and I don't even have it switched on usually when I'm in the vehicle. You can load your contacts, add your group of contacts. You can, you know, put in speed dials and things exactly as you could before. That's basically it. You know, I'm not going to go through, as I said, the whole lot. You can make phone calls, obviously. You can send SMSs. And in Australia, the good thing about this phone is because you're on the mobile network, you get a mobile number beginning in 04. It, depending on the provider, but incoming calls, so somebody else calling you doesn't pay any additional costs if mobile phone calls are included in their plan, which most of them are nowadays. So people can call you, friends, family can call you to check up on you, and it costs them nothing, which is really useful. Obviously my outgoing calls cost me $1 a minute or 99 cents, but you know, you either call somebody and tell them to call you back. It is a sat phone, so you know, you've got to remember that the quality of the call, the delay in the call is not like a mobile phone. It's a sat phone, so there is a delay when you're talking, and the quality, depending on your sat signal, does vary. Anyway, got this from Sat Phone Sales. Very good service. You order the phone online from them, they ship it out to you, arrives within a few days. You get a SIM card in the packet. You go online, you fill in an application, enter the SIM number, choose your contract. They set you up with a contract, and away you go. It's a really good service. You know, you couldn't ask for more. They get very good reviews. Sat Phone Sales, probably your best price here in Australia that I've seen. The only thing I would say with Sat Phone Sales is I haven't found a way yet to set up the monthly fee by direct debit, so you have to pay it manually, which is a bit of pain in the backside. But anyway, that's the Thuraya XT-Lite. I'm very happy with it as a backup plan for emergencies. Fits away nicely in the car. So thank you for watching.